Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection keeps taking L's. That's right, just when I think I'm done, they pull me back in. Because get this, the game is already out and you already paid for it, but developers want you to beta test the online lobbies. Yup, gamers are being turned into free labor. What happened to developers testing stuff like this? Why do the players have to do it? Forget the fact this should have been working on day one, but now fans have to test it for you? Bruh, I never thought I'd see the day. Alright everyone, maybe I'm being too harsh, so let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How do you feel about developers asking fans to make the online work better as free beta testers? Grab that keyboard and make your voices heard. Then leave a like if you want this nonsense to get fixed. The MK Legacy Collection has been out for almost a month already, and yet the online still doesn't work. There's input delay on consoles, bugs, glitches, all that stuff, which I hope does eventually get resolved. So if today's video gets 2,000 likes, then Mortal Kombat Legacy gets saved, just in time for the physical players like myself to actually get a copy. That's right, I still don't have the game, along with everyone else who ordered physical. But I digress. For anyone new to this channel, I'm trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026, so let's do it together. Alright everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. Oh man, people are gonna call me a hater in the comments again. Listen, I'm not trying to be. The game just keeps disappointing me. That's not my fault. The trailers promised online gameplay. It doesn't work. Developers revealed there's no crossplay 2 days before release. So basically lying to everyone who pre-ordered. Let's just keep it real. We still can't play with our friends almost a month later, just random dudes online for now. Then today, you're now asking us to beta test the online for free after we already bought the game at full price. Listen everyone, I want this game to succeed. I truly, honestly do. I repeat, I am not preying on this game's downfall. I'm just covering the situation and my opinions on it, and in my opinion, this situation is sus. I understand Digital Eclipse is a very small company. I googled it just now and it's between 11 and 50 employees, so that's very small for a game company. That is fair. I don't have beef with the developers. My beef is with whoever knew this game was busted and still released it anyway. You can delay games. It's happened before. You delayed the Mortal Kombat 2 movie for over half a year, right? 8 months or something crazy like that. So with all that in mind, let me get this straight. You delay a movie for over half a year, but when a game is actually unfinished and not ready to be released, the developers are clearly struggling in many ways with this product. There's still somebody up top that released it anyway and said, let's do it, the gamers are dumb, they're not gonna care, release the unfinished product, they'll pay for it. Nobody's gonna care because they're dumb gamers. Well, guess what? I care. Yeah, so to every boomer saying the game is fine because we don't care about online, even the offline is busted, alright? I've covered that in 5 separate videos already. So please don't make me repeat myself. If you're loving the game, that's great and I'm happy for you. I want you to enjoy the game if you like it. Just stop pretending that the rest of us are crazy for calling out how unfinished this game is and how it keeps getting more ridiculous. Alright, here we go. We know players are looking forward to Lobbies, so we are releasing a time-limited beta version on Steam later today. For more information, please visit our website. Then if we scroll down a bit, we will be adding Lobbies to console versions as soon as possible. Prior to the Lobbies update for console, the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 versions will receive an interim update. Interesting. Haven't seen that word in a long time. Sorry, real quick minor digression. Interim update with many fixes and improvements that were previously issued for the other platforms. Alright, so in other words, to summarize really quickly, PC's getting the beta test first, right, on Steam. Then that data is going to be used to make the online lobbies work correctly, and once that's all fixed, it's going to happen for the consoles, and I imagine the Switch and Switch 2 will be last, but also the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 are finally getting updates that everyone else has already gotten. At least that's what I think this tweet is trying to say. It's unintentionally vague a little bit. Now funny enough, I first learned about this whole situation from Murdoink, who's normally just a meme account for Mortal Kombat stuff, but he's how I actually learned about this. Let me pull him up real quick. Green screen person. Wow, he tweets a lot. Is this man unemployed? Like holy cow, how can he tweet like 19 times a day? Like no, 40 times a day. Where is it? Where is the actual quote retweet? Where is it? Oh my god, I'm trying to find, here it is. Alright. Do you like a beta testing stuff for free? Here's an unpaid opportunity for you, only he didn't say stuff. Yeah, that's more or less how I feel about the situation. I'm not going to use colorful language like that because we keep it PG on this channel for the most part. However, I do mostly agree with his sentiment. Typically, it's beta testers who would handle stuff like this, who do get paid by the studio, or in some rare cases where the studio is too small for that and doesn't have that much funding, they will just test it themselves themselves by going home and doing online lobbies themselves. They might possibly include some close friends or family in other areas to get a larger pool of people testing the online lobbies, then they gather that data and use it to make updates. But instead of that, the developers on Mortal Kombat Legacy are having the players do it on a much bigger scale as free unpaid beta testers. Which honestly does make sense when you consider how many people are playing this game right on a global scale. The real issue is this game was not free. It's $50, and over a month into the game's release, you're still having to test the game yourself as a player just to get the online lobbies to work. That's pretty wild. In fact, I think it's unprecedented. Even Mortal Kombat Deception had limited online function, right? It wasn't the best, but still it was there all the way back on the PS2, right? So that's pretty crazy to think about. This might be the first time where a Mortal Kombat game had to reach out to the player base and say, yo, test the lobbies for us because we can't get it to work without your data. I don't think that's ever happened, but let me know how you feel about it in the comments. It's not a huge deal, maybe, but it is unprecedented. It's never happened before. And also, apparently the Invincible Versus closed alpha just dropped, so a lot of people are going to be playing that, including Mortal Kombat fans, because it's a similar fan base, since the Invincible show is famous for all the gore and violence, right? So yeah, lots of Mortal Kombat fans watch, which means many of the potential players for the Legacy Collection are going to be on Invincible Versus instead right now. So that timing could not be worse. Let's read the comments real quick for more doink. Alright, so here we go. Had a great time testing last night, Lamau. Over 20 rooms, multiple, completely full, tons of matches with all sorts of games. Genesis Trilogy MK4 ran perfectly. Alright, fantastic, that's great news. So apparently the online lobbies are already working, but I imagine some issues must be happening. Hopefully they're minor. Call me an apologist, but I'm trying right now and it seems to be running pretty well. To which More Doink replies, why didn't they delay it and launch with this then? And he's like, oh yeah, don't get me wrong, it 100% should have launched with this. So far I've seen, as I was spectating, a glitched out stage fatal where the game said a stage fatal happened, but just didn't on Trilogy. So yeah, boom, there we go. There are some glitches and bugs happening, but not with the actual matches apparently. The fatalities and other extra stuff like that, which actually is gameplay, don't get me wrong, but I mean the match itself went smoothly until the end. Alright, now let's hop to the actual post by Digital Eclipse and see what the replies are here. We have people asking for MK Gold and Trilogy on the 64. That's wild how Trilogy on 64 is not included in this bundle. To my knowledge, that's one of the most popular versions of that game. Fix the AI difficulty, that's all I care about. I've mentioned this in several videos because it continues to be an issue among the fans. Please work on crossplay after this, it's obviously needed. Thanks. I agree. I think crossplay at some point should be added. Although with that said, I don't think Digital Eclipse ever promised that. It was fools of us to assume it would be there, I guess, by default, since every fighting game for the past 5 years or so has had crossplay. And as a result, many fans and players, myself included, assumed that this game, the Legacy Collection, would also launch with crossplay, or at least have it pretty quickly. But so far, from what I can tell, Digital Eclipse has never confirmed there will be any crossplay, and also never advertised it either. We just kind of assumed it would be there because, yeah, why would it not be? Oh, here we go, some of the angry comments. So just F off, finish your games before you take money from people. I agree, but it's not the developer's fault really, right? It's whoever's in charge of production that released the game when it was clearly not finished. Unless the developers did actually hide that fact and said the game was good to go when it wasn't. In that case, it would be their fault, but there's no proof for that. So for now, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. What a effing joke, Lamau. Yikes, yeah, some mean comments down here, but for the most part, they seem supportive or just, you know, hey, good job, I'm glad stuff's happening. And yeah, that's about it for that topic. Let's see if anything else posted since I wanted to cover this topic. Patch 1.03 for Mortal Kombat Legacy on the Switch 2 is now live and includes a number of fixes and improvements to bring this version to parity with the other platforms. So parity is another word I haven't seen in a long time. Why is Digital Eclipse using so many SAT words that are probably throwing people for a loop? Everything should be equal now is what they're saying, whether you're on PC or on consoles or Switch, right, which is a console, but is treated differently because its hardware is not the same as usual consoles, right? It's a bit different. So that's maybe why it's always last to get these updates, though I've heard the Switch 2 actually runs great with MK Legacy, so that's nice. And yeah, everyone, there you have it. The Mortal Kombat Legacy situation just keeps getting worse, but hopefully at some point in the near future when the physical copy gets here, or maybe a couple months after, we're finally gonna have online lobbies that work well, all the bugs and glitches are gonna be removed, you can finally play with friends, and maybe in the future, fingers crossed, we get crossplay, which means everybody can play together with their buddies, even if they bought the game on their preferred console of choice. That's That's the dream right there, baby. That's the ideal situation. For anyone still calling me a hater in the comments, keep in mind, I bought the most expensive version of this game thinking it would be good, right? I assumed everything promised would be there on release, and it just wasn't. So I'm a supporter, but also I'm critiquing how the game is not doing well, right? Released in a very bad state, was barely functioning, and even today, I don't like where it's at. So I'm gonna keep talking about it if more information comes out. But hopefully this game does get fixed. Let's get 2,000 likes if you want this game to get fixed. Then for anyone new, finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.